existence is rooted in the belief that our founding was unjust and tainted because of slavery and because of women not being able to vote. Nationalism, white supremacy, there's nothing about the American founding these people revere. They're attempting to transform this country away from its founding. Every damn one of them. Not just Obama and his people, the administration, but the whole Democrat Party. As it's currently constituted with their fringe left-wing base, America is not the good guys. America is not justified. America has cheated, it's lied, it's stolen. America's colonialist, America's white supremacist and nationalist. And then these guys come along and they quote the founders like Alexander Hamilton to try to give themselves gravitas in what they're doing. And they're even lying about that. The Democrats have focused on one particular Alexander Hamilton quote this week. It is a quote they say proves that Trump is exactly the kind of guy founders like Hamilton worried about when they created the impeachment clause. Pencil neck and the round mound of the gavel. Gerald Nadler both have used this Hamilton quote to begin the impeachment proceedings. Schiff on Wednesday and Nadler yesterday. Here's the quote. When a man unprincipled in private life, desperate in his fortune, bold in his temper, despotic in his ordinary demeanor, known to have scoffed in private at the principles of liberty, when such a man is seen to mount the hobby horse of popularity, to join the cry of danger to liberty, to take every opportunity of embarrassing the general government and bringing it under suspicion, to flatter and fall with all the nonsense of the zealots of the day, it may justly be suspected that his object is to throw things into confusion, that he may ride the storm and direct the whirlwind. That quote is a note from Alexander Hamilton. He wrote it in response to George Washington. Schiff offered the quote in full and suggested that it was part of the reason founders like Hamilton put impeachment in the Constitution. Nadler did the same thing. But guess what? Hamilton did not say this in the context of impeachment. It was from a note that he wrote when he was the Secretary of the Treasury in response to George Washington about tax policy. The letter in which Hamilton wrote these words doesn't even mention impeachment. It's from 1792. That's 5 years after the Constitution was drafted. They are lying through their teeth about everything. They're quoting Hamilton about Trump in advance, saying he's the kind of guy we needed to write the impeachment clause about it. It's not even about impeachment. It's a letter to George Washington about tax policy. And Adam Schiff is being heralded as one of the great orators, one of the finest House managers there's ever been. These people are lying through their stinking teeth, making things up, like claiming that Trump failing to follow the talking points prepared for him in a phone call with the president of Ukraine is tantamount to Trump doing his own personal foreign policy. And then Schiff saying that Trump only did a new trade deal with the Chinese so that the Chinese will help him cheat in the 2020 election. And you got George Soros out saying that Trump and Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook have made a secret deal, a secret pact, where Facebook is going to help Trump cheat again in 2020 and win re-election in exchange for Trump looking the other way on regulating Facebook. I know everybody lies in politics. Standard operating procedure. Everybody does it. This is not lying in politics. This is serial slander, defamation of character. This is election meddling extraordinaire. Adam Schiff and his merry band of House managers and the entire Democrat Party are doing more to corrupt the integrity and the honor of the American election system than anything any foreign power could have dreamed of doing. And it's not just Schiff and his merry band. All the people that worked for Obama, the DOJ, the FBI, the Comeys, the McCabe's, the Smirk Pages. You've got these Bill Priestap in the FBI, then you've got Loretta Lynch, you got whatever people at the Department of Defense were in on it. It's an absolute outrage. This goes so far beyond lying in politics. You know, before Trump even made the Ukraine phone call, Chuck Schumer said he wanted him impeached. Chuck Schumer publicly endorsed impeachment in September of 2018, 10 months before Trump made this phone call to Zelensky, 10 months before the whistleblower complained. Schumer was asked while walking in a Labor Day parade, 2018, when are you all going to impeach Trump? Schumer said, the sooner the better. He was using an Al Sharpton megaphone. He said, we got to get a few Republicans. We Democrats are on your side. We're going to impeach Trump as soon as we can. George Stephanopoulos was caught on camera telling ABC to cut off Trump attorney Jay Sekulow. This was during a broadcast segment on ABC News. Reporters in Capitol were interviewing Jay Sekulow, Trump's lawyer. Back in the studio, George Stephanopoulos didn't want ABC broadcasting the statements from Trump's lawyer. He's caught on camera using hand signals to tell producers to cut off. It's the throat slit. Cut him. I have my own comments on Trump. You know, I probably shouldn't say this because it's going to get back and it's going to be misinterpreted. But when was it? It was whenever the proceedings ended 2 nights ago. Or was it last night? No, it wasn't last night because I wasn't. 2 nights ago. And it's late. Everybody's leaving the Senate chamber, and there's the microphones and the cameras and the drive-bys waiting. And here come the lawyers, both sides, talking to the microphone. I'm sitting there enjoying this too much. This whole process. Make sure you watch our case on Saturday. Make sure you see me on TV on Saturday. No, I'm not saying I'm going to be on TV. I'm saying that these guys were, well, we're going to have our case on Saturday. We don't really wish it was on Saturday. Make sure you watch our case on Saturday. This process is what's wrong, but so many people loving and relishing being part of it because of the historical nature of it. But it's this process that's damaging. It's this process that's corrupt. It's this process that's stigmatized. This process, this entire impeachment thing is an abject insult and joke because it's really not what's taking place. This isn't a traditional impeachment trial. This isn't a traditional impeachment because there hasn't been any misconduct. There hasn't been impeachable offense. There's not one shred of evidence that's been created or produced or found, and yet all this is happening anyway. I don't know. I got to take a break. I just saw the clock. I see it. Back with more after this. Hang on, folks. So Pencil Neck is back up there now. I guess when things are not going well, he goes in and commandeers the floor. And he's now explaining why it is that if the president did not foresee enough importance in giving aid to Ukraine, that he didn't care about Ukraine, only cared about himself. Now he's explaining to people, why does Ukraine matter anyway? What's so big about it? And, of course, what they're going to say, well, Ukraine is a buffer for Russia. These clowns did not do anything to help Ukraine when Russia commandeered Crimea, basically took it. That's 1/3 of the country. But Joni Ernst, Republican senator from Iowa, came up with something interesting. She found out that 4 of the House managers who were going on and on and on and on and on about how Trump didn't care about Ukraine. Trump leveraged Ukraine. Trump only wanted Ukraine to investigate Biden. Remember, Ukraine got its aid in a matter of days, and it got more than it was actually promised it was going to get. But what Joni Ernst discovered is that 4 of the House managers voted against legislation providing this very same aid to Ukraine that they're belly aching about. They are Jerry Nadler, Zoe Lofgren, Hakeem Jeffries. They voted against the most recent National Defense Authorization Act, which included aid to Ukraine. Now, there's 4 she mentioned. There's only 3 named, so I don't know who the 4th is. Nadler, Lofgren, Hakeem Jeffries, and maybe Nadler voted against twice. I don't know, but there's one miss. Anyway, does that matter to anybody? These guys belly aching and whining and moaning about how Trump didn't even care about Ukraine. He didn't care about Lieutenant Colonel Vindman's talking points. He didn't care about our vested and respected ambassadors and civil servants who were preparing the talking points. And Ukraine ends up getting more than what they asked for. Yet these people voted against Ukraine getting anything. And they're acting like that very fact that Trump denied Ukraine threatened U.S. national security. But Ukraine got its money. They voted against it. Back in a jiffy. Okay, I'm going to have to run this down. I'm just watching here. I didn't have the sound on. I have a chance to switch it. But it looked like that Schiff and the boys played a video clip of John McCain as a star witness. I have no idea what the context was, but that must be the screeching the bottom of the barrel. We'll go out and get McCain. And that's well, we'll see how that works. First have to find out what it was that they have McCain saying. I think Trump sucks. I think Trump's a dead guy. I wish the dossier had been true. I wish it had been true. I tried to make the dossier true. It wasn't true, but I'm the guy that spread. I don't know what they have McCain saying. Okay, Marco in Williamstown, Massachusetts. Great to have you, sir. Hello.
Thank you, Rush. I'd like to offer for your always astute consideration that the Democrats' true motive here is to derail President Trump's ability to fill a Supreme Court vacancy. What they need is one witness that he invokes executive privilege on. They insist the Supreme Court makes a ruling on it, which wouldn't come till June. They suspend it. We can't. There's no way that the president can deal with a Supreme Court vacancy when he's under the possibility of conviction after impeachment. And, of course, that also opens up 5 months for new evidence to arise.
No question. There's no question that's part of the mix of what many of the objectives here are.
You know, Jerry Nadler, Senator Cruz came out and said yesterday that Nadler made a tactical error on Hunter Biden, and now Hunter Biden needs to testify. They know Hunter Biden would just invoke the Fifth Amendment. We'd really get nothing from Hunter Biden. They need this executive privilege fight and as a battle.
The Democrats, you mean?
The Democrats, yeah.
The Democrats want the executive privilege battle because that extends everything, that turns it over to the courts. And while anything's in the hands of the courts, a judicial nominee cannot be taken action on. Action can't be taken on one while this is happening. That's your theory.
Well, I think so. And then, of course, when they resumed it at the end of June, you get into all of the summer delays. You get closer to the election. We can't fill it now. It's too close to the election. They would do everything to obstruct it. I do think that makes sense as to why they're acting.
Well, it's one of the many reasons. There's no factor. I mean, there's no doubt that it's a factor that but it goes beyond just this. I think in the long range, if they could take back the Senate in the 2020 election while losing to Trump. But if they could get the Senate to go along with